Taxpayers could be walloped with a jumbo £100 million bill to patch up Portcullis House, the MP's offices which have become an almighty white elephant. A crumbling glass panel is the latest in a catalogue of catastrophes which have alarmed Westminster chiefs. Now Sir Vince Cable says project teams behind the £235 million flop should be sued to protect Joe Public from picking up the tab. The Lib Dem leader has written to Commons Speaker John Bercow asking him to review whether architects Hopkins and structural engineers Arup are to blame. If so, he wants to take the necessary legal action for damages to recoup costs to the taxpayer. The pane of glass which has shattered at Portcullis House, he adds, the failures are an embarrassment to Parliament and should no longer be tolerated, and the taxpayer must not be penalised for the mistakes of others. Portcullis has been beset by perils, the worst of which is glass panels shattering in hot sun, sending shards crashing onto the atrium below. Luckily there have been no injuries, though a policeman was nearly hit by a heavy glass door falling off its hinges. The latest incident was only last month when an area next to Portcullis's gourmet adjournment restaurant had to be cordoned off after glass above cracked. Blue mesh netting was put below the panel in case any shards fall. When this has happened in the past, the building ceased to be waterproof and staffers had to catch leaks in buckets. In 2016, a £210,000 technical report on how to put flaws right was commissioned by Commons authorities. That said, it would cost £1.7 million to pay for future breakages. The main atrium of Portcullis House, some MPs reckon the entire roof needs replacing at £100 million, though the report said that should not be necessary. But now Sir Vince says the ongoing problems mean this option can surely no longer be discounted. Portcullis is one of the UK's most costly ever buildings and an unnecessary burden on the taxpayer. The building, meant to have cost just £165 million, created a space-age atrium designed to give law-making MPs a taste of European coffee culture at public expense. 12 fig trees from Florida, costing an initial £150,000, were planted beneath a magnificent glass-paneled dome, flanked by tables and chairs so politicians could sip hot drinks under a warm sun. More than 200 MPs and their staff moved into lavish suites with reclining chairs costing £440. A far cry from the cramped workspaces in Parliament's main building dating from 1834. Cost overruns on the 1992 estimate meant that by the time Portcullis was opened by the Queen in 2001, the bill had risen by £70 million, and in the first year 7,500 defects were found. By 2012, the trees alone, which were rented under a maintenance deal, had cost £400,000. Some MPs reckon the entire roof needs replacing at £100 million, though the report said that should not be necessary. Image, Getty. They are there to help control the internal climate and offer MPs shade. The design is meant to make them feel they are in a giant luxury yacht. Offices and passages have bowed windows and light oak finishing, and above the courtyard hang metallic sails. But Portcullis's problems are not a new phenomenon. For when the government gets involved in building things, it frequently gets it wrong. Tony Blair's Millennium Dome in London's Greenwich, now the O2 Arena, was meant to symbolise new Labour but became an embarrassing flop when around half the predicted 12 million visitors turned up. The £603 million of lotto money which went into it was £204 million more than first estimated. But the biggest embarrassment of all was the Scottish Parliament building at Holyrood in Edinburgh. It should have opened in 2001, but was 3 years late and cost £414 million, at least 10 times higher than original estimates. A 12-foot beam broke free and dangled over Tory benches in Edinburgh Parliament. Image, PA. It had to be evacuated 18 months after opening when part of its roof threatened to collapse. One end of a 12-foot oak beam broke free from a steel socket and was left dangling over Tory benches. The building's design was the concept of Enrique Morales, the late Catalan architect who attracted the headline, El Colapso, when the roof of a sports center he designed fell down in Spain. However, the Stotts building has won numerous awards and been described by landscape architect Charles Jenks as without parallel in the last 100 years of British architecture. A House of Commons spokesman said of the Portcullis Row, Sir Vince Cable's letter will be responded to in due course, and it would be inappropriate to comment in advance of that. Arup said, "We worked on the design of the timber and tension rod structural system. We were not involved in the glazing of the roof." Hopkins did not respond to a request for comment.